2. We are live right now.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. We're doing something a little bit different tonight.
We are lately
Impromptu.
Yes. Okay. So let's clink on that.
Toast to that.
Toast to that. So this is
Junkshop Library, and this is
Wine and Reason, and we decided to drink some wine and talk about what we thought
at the time
were paranormal experiences that we both had when we were younger. So who wants to go first? Oh, we did not set this up.
We did not.
No, I can do one.
Okay, well, I think you've got at least
I've got many.
You've got several, so you roll on in first.
I'm very crazy. Okay,
and then, hey, now.
Well, no, it's okay.
All
it's
right.
okay.
You've got more than I. I've only got the one.
That's actually part of it for me. Here's the thing. I don't talk about mental illness enough, and I think I should. I have self-harmed in the past. I try very hard not to do that anymore, and I'm in a very good place. I use cognitive behavioral therapy as well as 3 psychotropic medications. So if that help me very much. One is a mood stabilizer, one is an antidepressant, and one is an anti-anxiety drug. And the reason that I do this is because I have 2 anxiety disorders. I have generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder. You've seen both of these. They're fun. They're not. But true that he has seen them. And I also have been diagnosed with BPD. Now, I've been diagnosed with both bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. These are very close and very difficult to distinguish from each other. So frankly, you'd have to have a chat with the therapists and psychologists who diagnosed me to understand the difference. That frankly is difficult for me, honestly, to really tell the difference because they present very similarly.
And there's no uniform standard from psychiatrist to psychiatrist to what qualifies any given client for one versus the other. It's a subject of some contention in the psychological and psychiatric field.
It is. And
I understand from my vast mountain of experience as a
well,
total layman.
Well, that's fine. Because you've lived some of it. So I think that's a valid, I mean, you know, when you've lived it, I think you can talk about it. It's okay. So yeah, I do. So absolutely, I have, you know, I absolutely am on the BPD spectrum. And frankly, whether it's borderline personality or bipolar disorder, honestly matters less to me than how okay I am. We've
got 2 people watching us in the chat.
Oh my goodness, hi!
If you're comfortable doing so, let us know in the chat who we are. Just shout out and say hello.
Yeah, say hi,
If you're not
please.
comfortable, no pressure.
Yeah, seriously.
Because I know this is a little bit different than what you normally tune into the channel for.
Very true. Very true. We're not tearing the Old Testament a new one tonight.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Tomorrow afternoon, yes. Tune back in.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is how, now a lot of you know this. I was raised Roman Catholic, and so when I was very little, I was 4 years old, I was terrified of the dark. That was a full-on phobia that I had for many, many years that I eventually mostly got over. I'm okay as long as someone else is in the house with me. Then I can have all the lights off and it's fine. But there are still remnants of that phobia for sure. Like if you're not home, you know, if he's not here, then I do leave lights on. Okay, so I was very little. I was 4 years old, and I had come out of my bedroom because my parents, and they absolutely had every right to do this. They had 4 children. So when they went to bed at night and shut their bedroom door, if no one was bleeding profusely, or if, you know, the police didn't need to be called, you did not disturb them. And that was a full-on and I respect them for this because it was healthy for their marriage. There were 4 of us, and they needed some space. They needed some adult time. They called it mommy and daddy time, which sounds a little weird, but that's what they said to us. Anyway, the point is, I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and I was 4, and I realized that I would get in, and I was terrified. And I realized I would get into a lot of trouble if I knocked on mom and dad's door. So I didn't. I took my pillow and a blanket, and I went to the living room couch because the living room was slightly illuminated by the streetlights outside. So that was great. So it wasn't as dark as my bedroom. And I'm laying there, and the next thing I remember is feeling pinned to the couch on my back, which was weird because I always sleep on my side and always have. But I was on my back, and I was very cold suddenly. And this strange, dark shadow with the vague notion of a head and tattered edges, like something out of a goddamn horror movie, flew over my face and around the corner and into the dining room. The next thing I remember is rolling off the couch into a crouch down on the floor, grabbing my pillow and crab walking back to my bedroom because clearly the living room was no longer a safe place. Now, it wasn't until I was in my late 30s,
Something like that.
something like that, that I learned what sleep paralysis was, and that it often happens to young children. So and
that it affects something like 1 in 5 of the population,
Thank
that's
you.
me lowballing off the top of my head.
It's
this is
super common.
super common psychological aberration.
So
if you
common.
suffer from that, please know, not only are you not the only one, you're not the only person you know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I have friends.
Assuming you know more than about 2 people.
Yeah, assuming you're not living under a rock. Sorry, not to be rude, but yeah, you have internet access. You know more than 2 people. So, therefore, yeah. So I didn't know anything about that, and I absolutely believed I saw a ghost, and I told no one because I knew my siblings would tease me about it, and I knew my mom and dad wouldn't believe me. They'd just tell me I was dreaming, but by goodness, I knew what I saw. Right? Okay. So years later, I actually did confide in my older brother, the one I'm very close to, and I've talked without mentioning his name. I hope to interview him at some point on my channel on Wine and Reason, but I don't want to, say anything. But he was so sweet, and he described seeing a very similar thing. And he told me, the thing is, this is important. As I remember it, and I need to ask him about this and see if he remembers it the same way, because he may not. Human memory is shit. If you don't know that, you should know it's shit. Your brain.
Now you know.
Now you know. Your brain tricks you all the time.
Don't trust your brain.
Don't
It'll
trust
lie to you.
It will. That was one of the most brilliant things this hot guy ever said to me was, "Oh, you still trust your brain." And he didn't. I made that way more condescending. He was not condescending in the least.
Good night, Math Pig. Take
At
care.
all. Oh, good night, Math Pig. Love you. You're amazing. Okay.
He's streaking on the way to bed.
He's streaking on the way to bed. Of course he is. He's Math Pig.
Hashtag blame Math Pig.
Yes, please. So my older brother described seeing a very similar thing, right? A dark shape with the suggestion of a head, except he said that it was vertical instead of horizontal, and that it had outstretched arms, and he saw it go through the back door and out into the backyard. So I thought, oh my gosh, I never told anyone this that I remember. Okay, that's important because I was 4 when this happened. And here is confirmation. So then I told him what I saw. And we had this moment, this shared moment of ooh, spookiness, right? Well, this same brother, many years later, when I was a teen, pulled a prank on me, and this is not at all out of character, where I had a full-length mirror in my bedroom, but I was so superstitious about all things supernatural that I used to put an Afghan over it So the mirror was only there if I needed it to, like, you know, check an outfit or something. And he pulled the Afghan up. So I came into my bedroom, and what I saw was the Afghan in a puddle on the floor and words written backwards. Julie, why won't you let us out? Yeah, yeah. And my motherfucking brother.
I did not know this story. This is 100% new to me. This is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, this is my brother to a T. You know him. This is exactly what he would do.
Yeah, and this is him 100%.
It is. And I was...
This is both evil and brilliant.
Evil and brilliant. And
hi, Dave. Hi, Angie.
Terrifying. Hi, Dave.
Welcome.
Love you, Dave. Okay, so yeah, so Angie, oh my gosh, I love you so much. Okay, yeah, so my brother, evil madman that he is, he did this prank, and he was a full grown ass adult at this point. He was in college. He was living with us because he just been through a very bad divorce. But so that's awful, and it's not his fault. Not the point. Not the point. Sorry. Okay. Point is, so he did this thing, and for half a second I believed it, and then I was like, no. And I thought for years, by the way, that my girlfriend at the time did it. For years I thought that. And I won't say her name either to protect the innocent. But no, he just told me, like, literally last year. I'm 42 years old, and he told me, like, last year that he was the one who did that. And I didn't know. So anyway.
Don't trust your siblings. They'll fuck with you.
They'll fuck with you. That's right. And it's their job, especially if they're older siblings whom you love and trust and who have physically protected you in the past, which he has done many times. To be fair to my brother, I want to say he is the guy you can call at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. and say, I'm trapped with a flat. This has happened in a random parking lot. It's happened twice, at least, in a random parking lot with a flat, or my car won't start. And he's the guy who shows up and changes the tire and fixes stuff and gets down on the concrete. He's amazing. So I don't want to give you a bad impression of my brother. He was just fucking with me, which is fair for siblings. Okay. So then the other thing other things that happened. So I was neo-pagan for a long time, as many of you know, and we were doing a ritual, and we were leaving honey and oats for fairies, right? Because,
like you do.
Like you do. Because and I didn't believe in fairies. I just thought it was cute. I was like, oh, my friends believe in this. Except that I thought I fucking saw one. Okay, now I've mentioned that I have these mental illnesses. They weren't diagnosed until long after all of this happened. Okay, so I didn't know, and I also didn't know. Oh, what's happening? What was she saying?
And she says siblings can't be trusted.
No, they cannot. No, except for my big sister. She can be trusted with anything. She's an introvert, and she's a great keeper of all things secret. She's amazing. Love you.
So fairies.
Anyway, fairies. Yeah. So so we're doing this freaking Wiccan ritual to, you know, thank the fairies. And I look up and I see a ball of, I'm gesturing and you can't, it's not even in the frame. I see a ball of light that is changing color, and it's like pink, purple, gold, red, but it constantly, and it, I mean, it looks like freaking Tinkerbell from a movie. Hello. That should have been my first clue. Anyway, then it goes away. And after the ritual is over, I asked anyone else, hey, did you see that glowing ball thing that I saw? And everyone else is like, no, we didn't. And that should have been a clue as well. You can't trust your brain. Something that I didn't know, back then I didn't know that I had BPD, and I also didn't know that if you have BPD, you can hallucinate. It's not a form of schizophrenia, but you can absolutely. Also, we all hallucinate, by the way. We hallucinate with our peripheral vision all the time. Our brains will just make up what they figure is over here, given the rest of the environment, and we just do that. So if you don't know about that, check out how our brains work. You can look it up. It's weird. Yeah.
Shannon Q has several remarkably concise and insightful rants, for lack of a better term, regarding visual perception and how the brain convinces you that stuff you're seeing is real, despite the fact that it's 100% not, including, among other things, the fact that it's upside down.
Oh yeah, yeah. The fact that our eyes, and this is one of the better, my favorite is the fact that we also breathe through the same tube that we eat. But the fact that we're not intelligently designed, very much shown in our eyes. Our brains have to flip everything upside down because of how our brains developed, so that we see things as right side up.
And you were afraid we wouldn't get back to the atheism here in
Yeah,
the library.
you were afraid. No, we're getting
No intelligent design.
Yeah.
Trust me.
But-
Screw you, Ray Comfort. No intelligence involved in the design process.
And also, Ray, stop. Thank you, honey. Oh. And Ray, stop telling people to get on their knees and think big thoughts, because do I even have to say it? I don't think I do. No.
You don't have to say
No.
it. We're all adults here.
I think of very specific things like gag reflex. But I'm just going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. Don't want to embarrass you. I'm sorry.
Don't let Ray stream jack the channel.
No. He
Sorry,
doesn't
we've been
deserve the
doing-
time.
We've been dealing with a lot of Ray on
We have.
the Twitter today, and it's put our minds in a
It's-
dirty place.
It has.
Because Ray either doesn't understand double entendre
He doesn't understand single entendre.
or understands it all too well and is
Mhm.
just doing it for the clicks.
Seriously, if he's just messing with us, I want to know.
I
because
respect the
then he's
game
way
if
more
that's what it
interesting.
is.
Yeah. But if he just doesn't know, that's freaking sad. Okay.
Let's
What are
see.
people saying?
Angie says it's awesome to see us two together.
Oh, thank you, Angie.
And Dave says it depends.
It depends on
I think
Ray,
probably
on whether
regarding
it's
to
awesome.
what Ray's talking about. And
Oh,
I agree.
It does. It
I
absolutely.
personally think some of it's one and some of it's the other. 'Cause
Yeah. Oh,
some of the things that come out of the mouth of his Twitter account are just
Ray.
too beautiful not to be accidents.
Yes, but I do feel the need to plug something else here if we're talking about Ray Comfort.
Oh yes, while we're spending 10 minutes plugging Ray
It's-
Comfort's
I-
fucking
Please,
Twitter account.
please check out God Awful Movies. When they did Ray Comfort's film, I'm so sorry, was it 9 Reasons or
not 9 Reasons Why.
right?
I
9
think
Reasons
was
Why.
the name of
Yeah,
it.
he basically browbeats young college age, like 18, 19-year-olds into either agreeing with him that abortion is wrong, or, and to his credit, leaves it in the movie. It's like, Ray, this was your movie. You didn't have to. Adriana, you're my hero. If you're out there, I love you. You are my hero. He does ask. He asks a couple of kids that just like they totally stay strong through the whole thing. And she's like, no, I had an abortion and it's fine. And he says, well, do you have friends who feel guilty that they've had abortions? And she says, yes. And he says, why do you think that is? And she says, largely because of people like you. So Adriana, you're amazing. Check out the God Awful Movies of Ray Comfort's 9 Reasons Why. Seriously, it's amazing. Okay.
Don't
Done.
watch the original.
Don't-
Don't give him the clicks.
Don't. We did, and it's rough, y'all. It's
Painful.
rough. I was yelling at the television. It's rough. Okay. Although
Okay,
that's
sorry.
not
I
no, it's fine.
I let Ray stream jack my brain. What were we
No,
talking
it's all good.
about?
No, we're talking about paranormal experience. So,
Paranormal experiences.
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So one time, so
Ain't no such thing,
ain't
y'all.
no such thing, and also your brain can fuck with you. Okay, so
You can't trust your brain. That's what we were talking
you can't
about.
trust your brain. So here's my really quick last one that I'm going to
That's
share
why
in
I
this moment.
normally drink coffee on my stream, because old Junk Shop gets lost down the rabbit trails.
You're adorable when you're a little toasted. Okay. Anywho, so the point is, last time anything like this happened, I saw another like glowing ball of light, and I was sitting with a skeptic and an atheist at the time, and I said, "Do you see that?" And he said, "No." And he said, "Well, actually, no." He didn't say no. He said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Do you see that glowing white ball of light, by the fence right there?" And he said, "No." So the very next day, I went to, this is before Obamacare and before all of you know, I didn't have insurance at the time. So I went to the Church Health Center here in Memphis, Tennessee, which helps low income people. And I described what had happened. And I said I was sitting, you know, with another person. We were both sober, and I saw this glowing ball of light. He did not. They immediately sent me across the street. No, like immediately. And if you've ever had no insurance health care in the US, you know this is a big deal. They immediately sent me literally across the street to the Med, which is our big hospital here, to see a neurologist, because this apparently is a symptom of a brain tumor. So when I went to the neurologist and described what I'd seen, and that the other person sitting with me hadn't seen it, she said, okay, we're getting you a CAT scan right now. And I said, right now? And she said, yeah, don't leave. I'll be right back. And she was writing notes furiously, and it was a big deal. Well, the CAT scan came back clean. I mean, thank goodness. Yay. No brain tumor for me. Happy. Thank you. I'm very pleased. I know people who have suffered brain tumors, and it's horrible. And luckily, the one person I know most who had one survived and is cancer-free, and that's fantastic. But it's really scary, and it's an awful thing, and I hate it for anyone to have to go through it. But to me, that just reconfirmed my weird neo-pagan, new agey beliefs that I could somehow see things that other people couldn't. And in, you know, like in Irish, like mythology, or it's called, you know, the sight or whatever, and in Scottish mythology too. And so I thought I had that, right? I thought I was special because of that. And I wasn't. I was just hallucinating. You can't trust your brain, which was not something I figured out until much later. So now I'm going to just pass the ball to you, and you tell them the really scary thing that happened to you on the street you don't walk down anymore.
This is true.
That was a good introduction.
It was. There is literally a street in our town where we live
Very nearby.
that to this day, because of
That's fair.
I will not walk down anymore. So let me check the chat 1 second. Let's see. Oh, Angie says, taking notes, no trusting siblings or brains.
Or brains, yes, very good. Yeah, that's true.
Amen.
Yeah, hallelujah, Angie.
So, this was several years ago, but not as long ago as her story of
Yeah.
brain chaos.
It was before we
So
met, though.
It was before we met,
yeah.
but I wasn't like small child.
You were a young adult, yeah?
I was a young adult. I was either in college or recently out of college.
Yes.
And at that time, a confirmed hardcore dyed in the wool inner circle, if you will, atheist.
I'm sorry. I love that so much. We still don't know what that means, but hey, we'll take it.
Little shout out to all of our friends down at the ACA.
Absolutely. ACA is awesome. We love you. You rock.
But I had gone to see a movie late one night. It was,
Which you were wont to do.
a 10:55 or 11:55 or what have you showing, which was a common occurrence for me at the time. I was even more of a night owl then than I am now, which is going some.
Yeah, fair.
I just can't stay up till 5 in the morning like I used to be able to, because, honey, we ain't 19 no more.
Nope. And thank goodness, frankly.
Yeah, right?
Sorry, but yeah. Goodness.
But I was on my way home from the movie, and I was headed home along a major thoroughfare in our city.
In
And
Memphis.
crossing-
You all know where we live.
It's Memphis.
It's fine.
At this point, yes. I was, if anybody knows Memphis, I was headed along Poplar Avenue on foot.
Yeah.
Poplar's the big artery.
It
in
goes.
town.
It
It
goes from the river all the way to Collierville
all
and
the
further.
way out to God only
to
knows
Walnut.
why I'm here.
Walnut, Mississippi, where you're like, is anything here besides a
Besides
taxidermist?
Yeah.
Dude, that was not
That
scripted.
was not choreographed. We
That
didn't
just
think
happened.
that far through.
Oh, and to my best friend Sherry, if you watch this, I love you. I know you chose to live out there. It's fine.
Angie says, inner circle.
Yeah.
It's not that far after dark.
Not a thing. Okay. Anyway.
All right. So
That
I
far after
I was walking home along Poplar.
Okay.
And was crossing a shitty little cross street. That's a residential cross street in a
relatively nice neighborhood.
a non-residential area.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
A commercial area, but not a hugely not an industrial area.
Yeah, listen to him. I get confused. Go ahead.
And as I was crossing the street, I looked up, I looked north.
I love that you know which compass direction it was.
If you had seen this shit, you would know which compass direction to.
Okay. I mean, if I know where the river is, I know that's west, and I can tell the... Okay, fair.
And I saw this thing. What looked like a walking shadow that had to have been 8 feet tall.
Ooh.
With long claw-like fingers and glowing red eyes.
Oh, fuck, you did not tell me that.
And the first thing
no, just really quick interjection. I'm so sorry. Really quick interjection. When he first described this to me, he just said a thing I couldn't explain. I did not hear the full description. That is fucking terrifying.
It was.
And when I was Catholic, I would have said you saw a demon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Go ahead. Oh my God, this life. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
And the first thought that I had was, wow, I am casting a fucked up shadow. And so I looked around.
Oh, that was very wise.
For the light source that was casting my shadow on the front door of the house across the cross street from me. And there wasn't one. And the feet of said shadow were trailing away from me in a direction that didn't have anything to do with me. So I stopped walking, figuring, well, it's got to be me. So I'll just see what happens. And it kept on walking and walked up to the door of the house that it was being cast against and 100% vanished.
Oh, hell the fuck no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And I got a nice little chill down my spine and kept on walking at a significantly faster clip and have not been on that street ever since, despite my skeptical ass being an atheist.
I have a chill now. That's terrifying.
And to this day, I can't explain it.
But you know what? There's lots that
Chris
we can't
in the chat.
explain. Chris!
Hey, Christopher.
Hey,
welcome,
Chris!
welcome. I've never seen Christopher live before.
Hi! That's so cool.
Oh, and Dave is dropping links in the chat for both of us.
Thank you.
Dave is the
Dave
man.
is the best.
I am so glad I figured out how to make Dave a moderator on my channel so that he could drop links in the chat.
You know, I think it was just yesterday, I was saying in the D&D thing, I was like, Dave wasn't there. And I was like, what do you mean Dave's not here? Dave's ubiquitous on the internet. And, oh no, it was during Angie's. I'm sorry, Miss Angie. It was during Ladies' Night. I said, Dave's ubiquitous on the internet. He's everywhere. And somebody said something to the effect of, yeah, I don't think he sleeps. And I was like, oh, guys, maybe we're wrong. Maybe Dave's God because he's ubiquitous. And so, Dave, no, you're not God. I love you. You're a dude from Liverpool whom I love very much online as a friend. But yeah, you got called God. So you should check out Angie's channel last night if you want to see that. Anyway, what was the point? Oh, the point is, okay.
The point is there's always going to be stuff that we can't actually figure out the reasons for.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean God. That doesn't mean demons. That doesn't mean, shall we say, doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, and to bring this
Because
back,
every time, I'm sorry, let me steamroll over you right quick, and then I'll let you bring it back.
I just enjoy it. Go ahead.
Every single time that we as a species have seen or heard or perceived in any way something that we could not at that time understand or explain, we have at some point figured out the explanation for it, and in no single solitary instance of that has the answer turned out to be God, demons, spirits, fairies, or other assorted paranormal bullshit.
Yup. So ready?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, so to bring it back to mental illness, I don't know what I saw those nights that I saw the glowing things that I thought were fairies. I don't know what that was, but I do know more about how our brains work now. Thank you, Dr. Long from the University of Memphis, who is probably long since retired, but thank you. But the fact is, since what I have up here, I'm very functional. I work a full-time job. I'm a technical writer for a living. Before that, I was an adjunct professor of English. I can and a barista, and I worked in restaurants and all that stuff. I'm very high functioning, but I have to be aware of the fact that anything that separates me from objective reality as it stands is dangerous for me, because I have a mind that is not wired quite right. I'm given to, oh gosh, there are so many symptoms of everything that I have that could go into this. I mean, if I don't have my anti-anxiety meds, I can't leave the house. I don't have agoraphobia normally, but I know this for a fact because one time, for 6 weeks, my pharmacy was out of my anti-anxiety meds, and it got to a point where I could not leave the house. I remember standing in front of the doorknob, reaching out for it, and I couldn't make myself turn the fucking doorknob to step out of my house and go to my car and drive somewhere. I couldn't do it. And that was horrible. And the other things that I have, like my emotional reactions to things, can be, way out of kilter from what they should be. BPD has been described as the emotional equivalent of walking around without skin, and there's something to that. I take everyone else's problems onto myself a lot. I'm not trying to make myself sound good here, by the way. This is an unhealthy thing. It's not good. Anyway, so the point is I need to be as grounded in reality as I possibly can be. And so before I realized that I didn't believe in any gods or goddesses, and that I didn't believe in magic, and that I didn't believe in the power of saints or anything like that, I was in a place that just fed into this paranoia and this notion that I could somehow change reality by thinking the right way. And if it didn't change, that was somehow my fault, right? I didn't do the ritual right, or I didn't, back when I was a practicing Catholic, I didn't pray hard enough, or I didn't pray to the right saint, or I didn't, do the right intercessional whatever. I didn't light the big fucking candle, whatever it is. There's, if anybody is an ex-Catholic in church, they in the chat, they know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'll stop. But yeah, so the point is like just understanding the fact that our brains lie to us, and that's okay, and that pareidolia is a thing, and that's okay. That has been a, if you'll excuse the phrase, a saving grace in my life. Is that now I know when I see patterns that I can't explain, or when, you know, when I see a face in a bush or something, you know, it's not, you know, that I know there's nothing there because I understand more about how the brain works. I feel like I blabbed on a bit.
No.
Oh,
No,
thanks.
not at all.
Okay.
I think you made your points quite well.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So,
the last point I'm going to make before we close out the stream, not to say it's the last point we're going to make, but it's the last one I feel it incumbent upon me to make.
please.
Is that today I have to check my computer. Today is the 1st of March. Today is Sunday.
Mhm.
Which means today is National Self-Harm Awareness Day.
It is. How are we going to show off scars?
No.
Where are we going? Okay, fair. That can be a trigger for people, so let's not do that.
I'm just going to say that if anyone's watching this who happens to have made it all the way through this far, if anyone has a history of or a current experience with self-injury or self-harm, you are seen, you are valid, and I know.
Yeah, and so do I. And please get help. Please reach out. Please find a therapist. Going to a therapist for the first time was the scariest and best thing I ever did for myself. It was absolutely terrifying, and I hated it. It took everything I had to walk into that office, but I did, and it was absolutely the best thing I ever did for myself. So please just know that help is out there. Help is also not expensive. If there is a university near you, if there is a mental health clinic near you, there are so many here in Memphis. At the University of Memphis, you can go to the psychology department, and they have therapists who are graduate students, but they're being observed by people with PhDs. Okay, and they're there to do therapy for the wider community, and they do it on a sliding scale based on your income. Places like this exist all over the country. You do not have to everywhere. You do not have to spend an arm and a leg to be okay, and they will give you tools. Like I can't stress how much cognitive behavioral therapy helped me. It helped me stop self-harming. And it helped me in, I was suicidal when I finally went to therapy. Don't wait that long. Go now. Go before it gets that bad. Anyway, there's my 2 cents on that. And, yeah. And if you,
definitely.
Yeah,
Wonder Lady shouting out CBT.
Thank you. CBT is
chat.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you. CBT.
It's done so much for so many people.
And so much.
Thank you, Faye, for
Thank you,
shouting that
Faye.
out.
Thank you, Faye. You're beautiful. I love you. Yeah, absolutely.
And Chris, yeah, exactly. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Christopher in the chat saying lots of guys, especially men, seeing therapists as being unmasculine.
Yes, and it's not.
And it is true that so many of us see it that way.
We do. And
it is tragic that is the case, but it is
Mhm.
unfortunately a cultural norm.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
A lot of people see, and especially a lot of people toward the more masculine end of whatever scale you're talking about,
Mhm.
tend to see asking for help or reaching out for help as being somehow betraying their own inner masculinity.
Oh, for sure.
And that sounds absurd when phrased that way, but it feels that way inside sometimes.
Yes, it does.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
I can speak to the realness of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is true. And
absolutely.
overcoming that is hell of a hurdle.
It's a hell of a thing. And when I finally went to therapy, I was a hot mess. I was, you know, but it was getting those tools, getting those cognitive behavioral therapy tools, or whatever therapy works for you, is so amazing. And it really will give you a new lease on your life. It doesn't, you're not weak. You're not losing control. It allows you to take control of your life. And that is huge. That is so great. And I also want to say that, yes, we do live in the South, and there is a particular stigma with men in particular. Particular stigma with men in particular. Oh, anyway, whatever. I only have 2 degrees in English. Can't find words. It's fine. Anywho, the point is, anywho's obese. The point, he hates it when I said, okay. The point is that I love you. Is that yeah, it's terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. It's fucking terrifying for everyone. It was terrifying for me. I felt weak. I felt disturbed because I'd grown up on stories of my mom. Her mother, my grandmother, used to take the streetcar, and she'd have to take my mom with her because my mom was small, and to go visit my grandmother, whom I'm named after, would go visit a cousin of hers who was in an asylum in Louisville, Kentucky. And she'd take the streetcar, and she would leave mom in the waiting room. And in the waiting room, in the day room, I guess, while she went up to see her cousin. And in the certain patients had privileges, and they could walk around. And my mom has this very terrifying story of being a little girl about 6 or 7 years old and being in the waiting room of this place. And there was a very large man, and he just kept saying over and over again, if I get my hands on him, I'm going to kill him. And if my mother was telling this story, just imagine the intonation being much harsher. I don't want to scare anyone, and I don't want to freak anyone out. So I didn't do it the way that she does it, but it's terrifying. And somehow that transmitted to those experiences. And I don't want to blame my grandmother, because she was visiting her cousin. She was showing compassion. But it did something to my mom. It messed her up. Like she genuinely, like, she would never, and by the way, we all know that things like anxiety disorders and bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder, these are things that run in families. Yeah. You know, we know that they're largely hereditary. And so my mother never got psychiatric help, because she's of that generation, that baby boomer generation, where it was like that was a shameful thing. And then her own experience had shown her that quote unquote crazy people were terrifying because of those experiences from when she was very young.
And because of the level at which treatment was available.
Yes, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
I feel it incumbent upon me to state
fair.
the hopefully obvious, that mental health treatment has come so far in the last 50 years.
Yeah, and I did not mean to guilt my mother or say anything bad about my mom.
Just for anybody who's watching, who's struggling, I just have to tell you what I wish somebody had told me 5 or 6 years ago, which is that we don't live in the one flew over a cuckoo's nest world anymore.
Nope.
We live in a safer, saner, more compassionate world.
So much better.
And you can literally, and I can speak to this personally, you can literally walk in off the street to a mental health treatment treater facility.
Yeah, therapist or psychiatrist.
And say, hi, I'm here. And they'll just say, okay. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and you know what? If you don't
it's just like walking into the minor med. You walk in and say, my nose won't stop running, or my eye won't stop itching, and they say, okay.
I mean,
And
would
they
you?
ask you questions.
Yeah, would you not treat a broken bone? Would you not treat cancer? It's the same. This is physical stuff. We know this now. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It's literally a physiological illness like everything else. So please don't be afraid to seek help because of shame and stigma. We just, I know we're not the first people to say it, but we all need to get over that. Like, as a culture, we need to get the fuck over it. I'm no less of a productive person because of the mental disorders that I take medication for, and I take my medication, and I have alarms for my medication, and honestly, it's given me a new lease on life. I do not believe, and I have very good reason for this, I don't think I'd be alive now if I hadn't gotten help when I did. And I'm really grateful and really happy to be alive now. I got to marry this awesome guy. I get to see my family, and I got to meet all of you. And none of that would have happened. You never would have known me if I hadn't gotten help when I did. I can't read that. What is this?
Oh, that's facing. You can ask for free advocate if you feel mistreated.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
In a lot of states.
Yes. And also, if you're worried, if you are a secular or atheist person and you're worried about getting somebody who wants to like pray the mental demons away bullshit, there is the it's through Freedom from Religion, but it's also oh sugar.
I know, I'm drawing a blank. It's the Freedom from Religion Foundation's
Therapy Project.
Secular
Therapy Project. There we go. I'm sorry we don't have a link. Dave, do you have that link? Sorry, it shouldn't be your job, man. But anyway, yes.
I'll find one and put it in the chat if Dave doesn't magic one up for us.
Yeah,
second,
okay.
Which is not beyond the realm of possibility.
It's really not. Dave's amazing. You're not God, but you're amazing. Okay, anyway, so, well, God's a dick. Anyway.
And also doesn't exist.
Also doesn't exist. Another question. If he did. I mean, as a fictional character, he's a dick.
Anyway,
this is, I'm just babbling now. But okay, so, yeah. So we've talked about all this stuff, and people are saying
NAMI. Yeah, face plugging.
NAMI.
AMI,
Thank you. Yes, it is. One of my nephews.
Both online and in person.
Yeah, one of my nephews is on the autism
Angie says,
spectrum.
worship Dave.
Worship Dave.
Yep.
Yeah.
Angie's got us.
I'll do that.
Pray to Dave. He's got our back.
I'm out of wine. That's very sad.
That's all right. We're about out of stream.
Yeah, we are. Okay. I love you. Anywho, sorry about the cough. So the I have a thing I was saying. Oh, yeah, NAMI is amazing. NAMI is amazing. I have a nephew with autism. He's on the autism spectrum, and we've done NAMI. Well, I no, I'm lying. I have not. Because I wasn't told. But many people have. But many people we do that. My family, they do the walks. They do the and NAMI is amazing. So the National Association for Mental Health or Mental Illness is amazing. So check them out too. They're great. So Freedom from Religion Foundation, the Therapist Project, or the Secular Therapist Project, and NAMI. Those are all great resources if you need them. Sorry.
Right. Well, I think that's all we've got tonight. Thank you for putting up with our weird experiences of nothing can be explained.
Yes.
And also sticking around for the oh lordy, please seek help if you've got mental problems portion of the broadcast.
No, that's fair. They should.
It's anyone should, like we have.
Yes, and literally we've done it. It helps. Please.
We have, and it's an ongoing.
It's an ongoing project.
Which is the thing.
Like we all are.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And everybody in the chat, thank you so much for jumping in.
Thank you so much for coming. This was impromptu on the spur of the moment.
We were just like,
in the
let's do a
middle
collab.
of the night for some of you. So good Lord, thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Because I know what time it is.
Dave's in a sensible time zone. We are not. He gets that joke because it was a thing from when we were in Scotland. But yeah, so thank you all so much, and love from Memphis.
Dave and Angie both say more together.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
we might have to do this
All right.
periodically here and there.
I like that.
We've had good luck with this so far.
I like
so
you very much.
I like you very much
I'm
as well.
very fond of you. Okay, anyway.
All right.
It's our 5th wedding anniversary next Saturday.
Coming up soon.
Just saying. Yeah.
So,
So,
all right. Well, until we see you here again, what is your catchphrase?
mine is you can't find truth in wine, but you can find it in reason.
And everybody take care, be safe,
Stand against hate.
against hate.